to another episode of the Her Life BLOGCAST. Ladies, welcome in.
Hello. Welcome.
Another Zoom. Glad to see your smiling faces. I know what you're thinking, Rachel. Looks like you've got some mascara on beneath your blue light glasses. Well, you'd be right. I had such an eventful day, and I'm excited to talk about it. But first, I want to tell everyone about a teeny tiny little scheduling update for you guys. So we did Hello Postgrad Part 1 last week. This week, we're going to do a little bit of a mental health awareness episode, and then Part 2 of the Hello Postgrad with Alexa Schoen will be coming to you next week on the 31st. So we have an interview with her coming. It's going to be so fabulous. But yes, just stay tuned for that. Part 2 is definitely coming, and it's a great episode. We had so much fun doing it twice, and it's just going to be super fun. So yeah, that's our little scheduling, housekeeping blurb. But now, like I prefaced, I had such an exciting day. I'm exhausted because I left the house and everything.
Oh,
guys,
wow.
I went to Wegmans. Do you guys have Wegmans where you are?
No, but I've been to one.
Wegmans is, Emma, you would be all over Wegmans.
Oh, I have been to the Wegmans.
Okay.
Wegmans is pretty big in New Jersey, I would say, but it's kind of far from where I live, so I can't really go there. But no, it's basically, I feel like a better Whole Foods, and it's like cheaper.
Yes, I think it's a more approachable, it's like the next step to a Whole Foods. I was there today, saw a bag of beet chips, and I thought of you. I was like, Emma would eat beet chips, and I missed her. Like, I literally had that thought. I was like, should I get these beet? I didn't get them. Maybe next time.
Have you tried the ginger turmeric?
Oh, I can't do ginger. We got ginger hand soap in our house. We just ordered a ton of soap from Target the other day, and like I can't even do the smell of ginger. I'm so anti-ginger.
Fine.
It's a very sharp
It's
smell.
just a lot. It's overwhelming. Anyway.
Look at your digestive issues, guys.
I would rather take digestive issues than have ginger flavor. I can't do it. I really can't. Not my thing. But anyway, I went to the grocery store, and the most fun part about it, because it sucks. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to the grocery store much. It is the worst thing you could do. You're in that mask. You want to die. And it's just, like, not fun because I don't like grocery shopping to begin with. I guess some people sometimes like it. It's, like, relax, whatever. Like, ew, I don't like to cook. I don't like to shop for food. It's, like, not a fun thing for me. So this was just even worse. I hated every bit of it except for that, like, there's a couple hotties strutting around, except you don't really know that they're hotties because of the mask, but, like, your imagination, like, it was an exercise for my imagination today, and boy, it was so fun. It was like, instead of swiping every aisle, I was like, swipe it right, swipe. Like, it was so much fun. It was like an interactive game. I love the grocery store. So that inspired me. We haven't done X's and O's in a couple weeks. Let's do a quick round of X's and O's to kick off this episode, grocery store edition. Emma, do you want to start us off?
Oh, I will definitely start us off. So an X that I have is that I can't find my favorite gum, and that is the Dentine Pure gum, and it's literally my mom and I's favorite gum, and we are hardcore fans, but it hasn't been on the shelves in our grocery store, and I'm just very upset by that, because when you have your favorite gum, oh, you stick to it, let me tell you. Anyways, that's my X. Ugh.
I X that too. I hate that.
Right, exactly. It has melon extracts, and anyways.
Oh my god.
Some bougie gum.
Oh.
I was just gonna say, me over here chewing my bubble mint.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey, don't knock the bubble mint. It's so good. It's not a night out without bubble mint.
It's so true.
True. And then my O is remembering to bring my reusable bags, because in Connecticut and New Jersey, I don't know about New York and Pennsylvania, but we're not allowed to use, they ban plastic bags basically. So if you forget your reusable bags, you have to buy another reusable bag. So like, when you bring them.
I have a question for you. Are the grocery stores still allowing you to bring in your reusable bags, even though they ban plastic? I mean, sorry. Yeah. Yes, I asked the right question. Because the grocery stores near us, like, because New York banned plastic bags as well, and they, like, won't allow you to bring them in certain stores because it's not sanitary.
I've heard of this as well. My grocery store, I think, depending where you go, I think it just really depends. But
I was going to ask too, because it's not a rule in Pennsylvania. It's not a law or whatever. You can still do the plastic, and we've been doing the plastic because, like, what do you do? Do you wash your reusable bags every time? Like, they're covered in Corona, aren't they? I don't know, because you come home and you, like, sanitize all your groceries and stuff like that. I just got done doing it. So it's like, do you have to clean the bags? I don't know. So we just get rid of all the plastic. It's wasteful, but I don't know, like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
We were talking about this recently. Anyway, X to that whole situation and O for sustainability. Okay. I like it.
There we go.
Hannah, how about you?
Yeah, so I have not. I guess I don't really have an ex, but I'll just talk through my dad because I have not been to the grocery store since quarantine.
Keep it that way. That's
We've
what
been
you're
sticking
doing.
to like the one person leaving the house kind of thing.
Mm.
But I hate how much of an event it's become, and like my dad can attest to this too, because it's like he's only taking like what he needs into the store and like making sure not to touch like everything. So he has like his mask, and then when he comes home, like you said, it's like sanitize the groceries, and it's like it's like I dread the day because it's just like, okay, now like let's go through all the bags. And it's just terrible. And yeah, they also don't have all the brands all the time, so you get like this knockoff like
So true.
Oreos or whatever, and they're just not as good. Okay, sorry. But is when they have toilet paper. I feel like we won the lottery when we get it. My dad's like, I scored big. It becomes an event, something small,
things, man.
small victories.
They count. That's very exciting. I totally agree, and I feel it. It really is. It's a day-long ordeal. Like, I feel physically exhausted, and I'm not going to go next week, I can tell you that much. I have a very specific X and O scenario that I'm excited to walk you guys through right now. I gave a little bit of a teaser, but here we go into the whole thing. My X is when Brenda, the cashier, double scans your boneless, skinless chicken breast. My double X is when you don't even realize until you're in the Starbucks line later and you already leave Wegmans.
Oh, no.
So Emily's going through the list. I was like, that's so lame of you to go through the receipt. Like, what are you, dad? And she was just like, Rach, I'm fine to check the things. And then she's like, what's this? 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts? Not in my house. And I was like, oh, man. So we're in line for Starbucks because the Starbucks, we have like one Starbucks in like the entire friggin' state, I swear. And so there's always a million people in the Starbucks line. So like, you got to, cut out a chunk of your day to sit there, but we're like, we just got out of Wegmans, like we deserve this. We're sitting in the line. I call Wegmans, get customer service. Chris answers the phone. Chris has a cute voice. He's like, hey, this is Chris, customer service. I was like, Chris, my man. And he was like, what? And I was like, Chris, we got double charged. Like, what do we do? And he was like, this is no problem, miss. And I was like, haha, not a ma'am. And he was like, this is no problem at all. Just bring in your receipt. He was like, anytime. And I was like, Chris, I'm going to do it right now. And he's like, you're still in the area? I was like, Chris, you better believe. I'll see you in a few. And he was like, okay. And I was like, see you soon, Chris. He was like, I get it. Like, I was really coming out to Chris today. Honestly feel a little bad. I get back to Wegmans. I go in, customer service. There I see him, Chris. I didn't check his name tag. I had a feeling it was Chris. It was Chris. I go up to him. I was like, Chris, my man, boneless, skinless chicken breast. I can't say that. Boneless, skinless chicken breast. Like, could you please help a sister out? And he was like, did you bring in the chicken? I was like, you didn't tell me I had to bring in the chicken, Chris. You just told me to bring the receipt. He was like, you know what? I'm going to do it for you. And I was like, yeah, you will, Chris. So he recharged my card. Everything was fine. Chris might have been 15. Like, I have no idea how old Chris was. He was just a Wegmans employee. But, like, I don't know. He handled the situation well. Also, you can't tell in a mask. So I feel like it was fine. I don't know. It was exciting for me to have an interaction with Chris. It's been a minute since I've met a Chris. I don't know. I take that as a win. Anyway, the mask reminds me, though, because so Wegmans doesn't let anybody in unless you have a mask, which, like, duh. I feel like most places should be doing that at this point. The other day I was on Instagram, and one of my friends from high school reposted a story or an Instagram post that Dan Levy posted. And he was talking about how, like, I don't know if you've seen any of these, like, wild Facebook posts of people being like, it's my right to not wear a mask. Like, you can't tell me what to do. And you read it and you're like, are you kidding? Like, is this a real thing have you seen these things? Like, these are out there in the world.
Protests and everything, yeah.
Yeah, the protest, all that. I'm like, are you kidding me? So anyway, he was talking about that, and he was like, don't look at this as an infringement on your rights. Look at wearing a mask as the simple, most basic act of kindness you can do for yourself and for other people. Like, putting on that mask is just you doing your active service for the day. And I thought, oh my God, what a nice way to look at it. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you have to do this. It's just like, I get to do this for my community. And I just thought that was such a beautiful way to look at it. And it reminded me, because I think you get to pick the narrative that you're telling yourself and you're telling other people. Like, choose the narrative that's the act of kindness rather than like the infringement on your freedom. That's an active choice. And I think that's something that can definitely affect your mental health. Ding, ding, ding. That's the tie-in for this week, because we are talking all about Mental Health Awareness Month. We celebrate that in May. According to Mental Health America, who is our source for this episode, we will link them in the show notes, of course. This has been celebrated since 1949, when Mental Health America and their affiliates across the country have led the observance of May as Mental Health Month by reaching millions of people through the media, local events, and screenings. They welcome other organizations to join in spreading the word about mental health. It's something that everyone should care about by using May as mental health by using May's mental health toolkit, which is available online. We downloaded it and went through it for you guys to kind of just give you a rundown of some of the services and resources that they offer. Lots of really, really great information that's super easily accessible, so that's awesome. One of the biggest things in that toolkit is the mental health screening, which is mhascreening.org. Literally, you can take this survey for like any of these mental health struggles, I guess you could say. There's a whole list of them. You could pick which one you want to take. Literally take a couple minutes. We did it, so we'll talk about that a little later in the episode. But just as like a brief overview, that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, of course, if this is something you're interested in, keep listening. But if this isn't something you want to like hear about right now, then by all means, like skip to the post-grad episode or something. But I don't know. I think it's important to talk about this and to celebrate this month, because it's just a good thing to be cued into, especially in May. So I'm glad that we get to do this episode before May is over.
Yeah, and I was going to say also, it's like very accessible and easy to read, the toolkit. And I don't know, it's like aesthetically pleasing as well. So it's not overwhelming or anything. So it'll definitely spark your interest, I'll say. So, but yeah, we just wanted to kind of bring awareness to this, because you know what? We should celebrate our mental health. So
absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that's just our quick little intro preface kind of thing. Now we'll segue into our reflections for the week. And I also want to say, I think this has been a good way that I've been taking care of my mental health, is just doing these weekly check-ins with myself. What's making me happy, what I'm excited about, and what have I recently realized. So yeah, I'm glad that we're doing this. I'm glad that you guys are here doing it with me. Anybody want to kick off our happy of the week? The H?
Sure, I'll go. So my mom for the baccalaureate mass, she bought me like a bouquet of flowers to arrive like at the time of the mass starts. So she bought me like a dozen roses, little pink roses and a balloon. And then the other day, was it yesterday or today? Might have been yesterday. All the days the same. There was another bouquet that came, also another dozen pink roses, but they're like a deeper pink. So I like never have really gotten flowers, and so my mom wanted to make it special for the graduation, and so I now have 2 vases full of flowers, and they just make me so happy because they're such a springy, like, yeah, pretty color. They're both pink, my fave color. And just really spruce up the house, remind me of my accomplishments, and they just make me happy. I don't know. They just give me a good vibe.
Hannah, you should dry out one of the flowers from each bouquet.
That's what my mom said. So I think I'm going to do that and like put it into a scrapbook for this year or something. That'll be one of my projects, I think, for the summer.
Cute. Oh, I love that. I'm
Yeah.
happy for you, Han. That's so cute.
Thanks.
Emma, how about you?
I have a 3.5 day recharge. 3.5 day weekend recharge. Wow, that is a mouthful. But yeah, no, we get. I have to work a half day tomorrow, but we get like, what is it, Memorial Day weekend off, which is really nice. Like we've been grinding, so it's like,
yeah.
And I do want to say, like, prefacing this whole like mental health episode, we just do want to say that we are going to discuss some topics regarding mental health, so that's just like a slight trigger warning for you guys. So just wanted to say that as well.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got that in. But yes, well-deserved long weekend for you, Emma. You've been working it out, so I'm glad that you get a little recharge. I hope to do a Zoom Memorial Day picnic with you guys. I think that's
Oh, that'd be so fun.
We're gonna plan that. Maybe the Insta will get some. I'm sure we'll take pictures. Like, there will be. My happy for this week, very simple. I got an HBO free trial because we've been watching Big Little Lies on Hulu. Like, they just allowed it, and then all of a sudden they stopped, and we had like 3 episodes left of season 2, and we were like, oh my god, what are we supposed to do? So we're like, we'll just get the trial. So Emily and I made a whole list of like all the movies that we wanted to watch within this week.
There's some good stuff on there.
Heavy hitters on HBO. Like,
I know.
Oh my God. So the first movie we watched, Notting Hill, I have no idea how I went 22 years of my life not having watched Notting Hill. That movie was it made my soul shine. I felt so happy. Then we watched How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Have you guys seen that movie?
Mm-mm.
You need promise me when we hang up you are going to go back. Young Taye Diggs as this Jamaican hottie, like with the accent and everything. I have never. Oh my god, it was just more than my wildest dreams could have wanted. How Stella got her groove back, and boy did she. Like Stella, her groove is back, and I'm so happy for her. So that's my happy. Loved it. HBO, thank you. This is gonna be a good week. Like it's good. Moving on now to excited. Hannah, what are you excited about this week?
Yeah, so I'm excited to get closer to being able to resume some normal life activities, like going to the grocery store. I don't know, maybe I'll venture out eventually soon. You know, we haven't not been able to open up here in New York yet. It got pushed back again. I don't know, but yeah, we have 2 birthdays, a graduation, and an engagement to celebrate. So I'm excited for that to eventually happen. I don't know when, but the thought of it getting closer is exciting to me. So
Yay.
In Connecticut, they're open
really,
yesterday.
nails?
For nails, for hair.
For hair? Girls, I can't. I can't.
No, you can sit outside at a restaurant. So
that's so nice.
Go to Connecticut. Let's all go.
I know, seriously.
Let's go. Let's do
I
it.
love that. I'm excited about that too. Emma, what are you excited about?
Okay. I would say honestly, this episode airing, I don't know, mental health is very I'm something that it's very that I'm passionate about, and I think I've realized that I definitely want to pursue either maybe a job, etc., possibly in the future. So yeah, I'm just excited for this to kind of come to be, and thank you for you guys for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you for inspiring the idea. This definitely wouldn't have happened without your influence. So I'm glad. I just think it's important. Like, we have sort of a platform now, and it's just exciting. And I think if we can kind of be the window into a better mental health journey for some, and that's like, first of all, like, also maybe it's worth saying, like, we are by no means professionals.
Right, exactly.
Talking through our experience and what we've struggled with and what has helped us. So this is literally just like, think of this as a friend-to-friend conversation. Like, all our other episodes are not clinical advice whatsoever, but just, I think talking it out for me is like a big help. So
exactly.
Totally true. This week I am excited, just kind of excited, kind of nervous, but mostly excited about getting back on the job hunt. It's becoming clear to me that maybe most of the things that I applied for back before quarantine aren't gonna work out for my post-grad job, and now it's like, hello, we're here. So I don't know, like, that's okay. And now I think with the whole Alexa show and entry-level boss, I feel better equipped to just kind of get back on the horse and really just nail it. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, I don't know. It's, like I said, stressful, but focus on the excitement. Choose your narrative. I'm all about that. Now, realization. Hannah, kick us off.
Yeah, so I recently, again, going back to like reopening, it's just the realization that things are not going to be the way that they were. Like, reopening, yes, we may go back to restaurants and being able to go out, but it's not going to be the same. And like, it may be mask wearing, or we still have to social distance when we do that. So that's like, it's very scary. And I don't know, it just makes me wonder like what's that gonna be like. And because I was thinking, I was like, oh, like Disney Springs just opened back up this past weekend or last week, but they have to wear masks, and like they have cast members now there to literally enforce social distancing and keep people separate. And I'm very curious to what that's going to be like. I probably talked about this in other episodes too, but now that it's getting closer, I don't know. It's a little unnerving because it's like a dystopian novel. Like, you come out and you're like, everyone has to wear masks and gloves. It's interesting to see. So hopefully we'll get used to whatever that looks like. And I know we're all in it together, which is good. So
Totally.
Just been thinking about that lately. So yeah.
No, so true. Good point. It's weird, but right. Like, everyone's kind of going through it, so we just gotta get used to it, I guess. Yeah. Emma, how about you? Realization?
Kind of pigging back off of that, it would just be like how thankful I am for also like the technology that we have to stay connected. Because I always think like, oh, the people in 1918, like, how did they do this, or even have like access to like news? You know what I mean? So anyways, going off of that, I'm just really I'm realizing how strong our bond has been and how I think our relationship will grow from this as well.
Yeah.
Not to be like negative or anything with this realization, but like I think definitely coming out of this, we're just going to be stronger people and we're going to have a stronger relationship. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Good realization. I love that.
I love that one. Yeah, that's good.
Mine might be like a little like less uplifting, but I'm glad that you said that because it's so true. But mine, I've just realized, especially now after graduation day has passed, how much I appreciate a specific date on the calendar to look forward to. Like that was always super helpful for me. When we started quarantine, it was Easter. I was excited to like get that and honestly get Snapchat and Diet Coke back into my life. That was a milestone. Then it was like finals and the last day of classes being over, and then it was like finals themselves being over. Then it was May 16th, graduation day, and now I'm kind of like, what is the date? Especially because things are so open-ended and you don't know when stay-at-home orders are going to cease, and it's just, so I kind of feel myself flailing, but I think it's just finding maybe less significant, but creating meaning around other dates that I can look forward to in different ways. So it's just a realization now that there isn't something on the calendar that I can like point to, but I don't know, it's just like learning about yourself and realizing how to face this new challenge. You know what I mean? So we're getting through it, but definitely appreciated having May 16th marked off. And now that it passed, I'm kind of like, okay.
But to your point, like the small things, like reaching those small goals, I think is like really important, especially now.
For sure. And like using my planner now, it was always like after school's ended, like the planner goes out the window, but now I'm like, nope, like you need to get this, this, and this done. And just to kind of force myself to have some kind of a schedule has been super helpful. And I'm definitely going to talk about that later on when we get into like our coping mechanisms and stuff like that. But before that, I want to do a little content catch up because this always brings up some good stuff. So Emma, do you want to kick us off for content catch up?
Sure. I think we kind of tailored this to like how it has helped us during quarantine, right? Right.
Yeah,
or hurt us, I guess. Helped or hurt, however you wanted to do it. But I kind of wanted to talk about broadly just like Instagram. I feel like I've been on it way too much compared to like what I used to have. I would say that like I really do enjoy like connecting with everybody, and just in particular like the people I really know. But I think too, sometimes it can get a lot and it can be really overwhelming, and so I kind of have to just like maybe delete the app for a week, kind of like what you do, Rachel, cleanse, which I think would be nice. But in a positive light, like it's really been helping me connect with people that I haven't really talked to in a while. But in a negative light, it's kind of overwhelming seeing just a lot of content. It's like an explosive content.
No, I know what you mean.
Oh, that
like
sounds
no,
bad.
Just the quantity of content.
The quantity of content. There's just so much going on, right. So it's like kind of overwhelming in that sense. But
no, I totally get them.
Yeah,
no, that's a good response. I think everyone can kind of relate to that too, is having both ends of it, you know, wanting it to connect and then but also being overwhelmed by it. So true. Hannah, how about you? Content?
So conversely, I've been on TikTok a lot.
I love TikTok.
I do too, and it sucks hours of my time unintentionally. But I like it because I know I'm gonna laugh on there, especially when you find like a really funny one. You have to
there are
send
some
like
good ones on there.
I saw a really funny one today. This guy, real quick.
No, hit me. I'm into it.
His dad was doing a VR, and you could see it on the TV that he was in front of, and he was like walking on a little plank of wood. And the TV showed that he was like on a skyscraper, and when he reached the end of the plank, he jumped right into the TV and broke it. Oh God, I was on the floor laughing. It was so funny. I'm sorry for the TV, but it was hysterical. He like full spread eagle went. It was so funny. Yeah, so the point is, it just brings me laughter, and one day I will master a TikTok dance, and maybe, I don't know, if you have one, listeners, let me know, and I will try to do it. But also, binge watching Heart of Dixie, obviously, I've talked about a million. It's just wholesome and lighthearted. And lately, I've been listening to throwbacks like 2010s, and just like listening to the bops, and I've just been like feeling myself, and I just Honestly, it makes me feel great. And I sing along, and it's fantastic. So that's just been happy to, like, keep my mind off of things, which can be good and bad because then I kind of, like, forget about things. But then I'll have days where it's just, like, everything just, like, comes to the surface and it just kind of boils over. But for, most of the time, it's pretty good.
I totally feel. And again, I think super relatable, especially TikTok. Like, so many people are so just, it's a good distraction. And I think
It really
that's
is.
all you need. You know what I mean? No, I like that a lot. For me, besides HBO nonstop, because we're really trying to get our not money's worth out of that free trial, I just ordered Elaine Welteroth's book, her memoir, More Than Enough. That's the title, More Than Enough. Elaine Welteroth just got married. Her wedding was always scheduled for May 10th, and she did a Brooklyn stoop wedding, like, on her walk up. It was I posted the story I posted her, like, IGTV about it on my story because it, like, warmed my heart. You guys have to go watch it. It was so just genuinely, and this sounds so cheesy to even say, but I believe it. It was just a celebration of love. They were like, you can't deny love. It is in the air, and it was so beautiful. I have goosebumps even just thinking about it. It was star-studded, first of all, but they, like, enforced social distancing. Everyone had a mask. Everyone was in white. The flowers were gorgeous. It was just absolute perfection, and it was so beautiful. But that inspired me. I've always wanted to read her book. It's been out for a couple months now, so I finally ordered that. But I remembered it's just, like, a super uplifting and I think really good for this time when we have a lot of time to think. This is a good kind of book to read. I wrote down a couple quotes that she's just been putting on her social media since it came out, just to give you guys a vibe of, like, what More Than Enough is kind of about. The first one, when the world asks you to shrink, expand. Love it. Nothing good can grow if you don't nourish your own soil. Discovering what you don't want is just as important as finding what you do. And the universe is calling you to be brave. Just these really inspirational, I think, good for transitional moments. I think she's such an inspiration. Elaine Welteroth used to be the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue when that was a thing. Now she's an author, obviously, and she's a judge on Project Runway for the last few seasons. So that's kind of how I'm familiar with her. She's just fabulous, but also you could tell she's just nice. Like, she's one of those people that you would meet and she wouldn't be mean to you. You know what I mean? Like, Heidi Klum might be mean to you. I'm not trying to compare, but, like, she might be. But Elaine is not going to be. Like, she's going to love you because she just loves love. I just love her so much. Anyway, there's an exercise in her book, More Than Enough, that I think is super, super relevant to this week's episode. So I wanted to kind of put it out to you guys. She said, so it's a kind of fill in the blank situation. So it's I, your name, am claiming space for blank, no matter what blank may say. And it seems very simple, but, like, when you go to try to do it, it's like a deep.
I was going to say, this was kind of difficult.
No, this was the hardest thing I think we've ever, like, put on an outline, because you really have to, like, search within yourself. And I think you can do it for a long time and come up with a lot of examples, but it can kind of be as deep as you want it to be. And I don't know, I just think it's a really good exercise to do for yourself, just to see what you come up with. So we all did it. I'll kick us off, and then we're really going to get into our mental health awareness. But I think this is a really good tie-in just to, be in tune with your own self. So I'll start. I, Rachel Malik, am claiming space for creativity and passion projects like this blogcast, no matter what the oversaturated market might say. Because, like, let's face it, there's a lot of podcasts, but, like, you got to do what makes your soul shine. This makes my soul shine, so I'm here for it.
I love that. Wait, right on.
Thank you. I love it. Emma?
I also love how you, like, said it in just such, like, I'm going to conquer the world. I love that. So I'll try to do that. Okay, here we go. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Choked on my spit. Jesus. Oh, God. Okay. Rolling it back.
I was like, don't let it be a Jake from State Farm.
I know.
Favorite thing.
Bless up. Okay, here we go. I, Emma Spoldy, am claiming space for self-confidence no matter what my old self may say.
I love that.
Beautiful. Like, doesn't it just amp you up? Like,
I was going to say, like, after saying that, it's like taking a weight off of my shoulders. I don't know. Wow, that felt really good, guys.
I think saying it out loud is so important. No, it's so, yes, Elaine. Like, I'm going to send it to her. I think she's going to love this, Elaine.
So good.
So good. Oh, I love it. Okay, Hannah, bring us home, sister.
All right. I, Hannah LaJerfo, am claiming space for activity and healthy lifestyle or living, no matter what occasional laziness or apathy may say.
Love it. And so good for now. You know what I mean? It's just, it's
how do you feel?
Head.
I feel great.
Right? Oh, I love this. I
Also,
feel
you guys are hyping me up, so I feel good.
no, right? Like, I think this is such a good exercise to do. And she did a book event where she had all the women that were there kind of go around and share them, and watching that video, even like goosebumps everywhere. And it's just, you'd see the joy in the room of people like announcing their purpose for that day or for their life or for whatever you want to make it. It's just so empowering, and I love it.
Oh, it feels so good. I'm sorry. I'm on like a high for now.
It's so good. Oh my God. I'm so glad we did. Oh, I'm so glad. This is kind of like our Michelle Obama for the week. I feel like we should have like one fill in the blank every week because this is good. Oh,
No.
I love it. You guys, oh my God.
What'd you say?
No,
what?
You kind of cut out.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'll say it again. What's the last thing you heard?
Our Michelle Obama for the week, and then something.
Yes. So I'm just saying that's kind of like our Michelle Obama becoming moment of the week. I love these like fill-in things where we can just take like a template and put ourselves into it, and every single person listening can do that too. And I encourage you to do it. I think of saying it out loud, even, you know what I mean? Thinking it through, saying it out loud, do it. Send us voice memos. Wait, that would be cute.
That would be
We should
cute.
do that one week. Have everyone send us voice memos. And then we'll send it to Elaine, and then she'll like maybe talk about us or something, or at least know our names. Okay. Oh, I love it so much. I feel good already. And what a perfect segue into more mental health stuff. So again, as I mentioned before, minor kind of trigger warning in case this isn't something you're totally comfortable hearing about. But I think it definitely, we're going to keep it lighter because again, this isn't like too deep, but definitely.
It's more conversational. And again, we're like not clinicians or anything. So it's really just like speaking our mind. So
totally. So let's back up just for a minute, consider life before quarantine, because I think even within the, umbrella of mental health, it's easy to get sucked into like right now because things are particularly difficult, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But what are some mental health struggles, I guess, that might have affected us somewhat regularly before a global pandemic happened? And I kind of put this question out on our Instagram. By the way, if you're not following our Instagram at h.e.r.blog.life, make sure you're doing that because sometimes we do fun things like this and you guys can participate. But here's just some responses that we got on the Instagram today. So someone said final season just in general for like a college student, because first of all, school itself is its own stressful thing that obviously takes the toll on mental health, but specifically final season being set up the way that it is. It's like, oh, here's this test. She wrote out like a cute quote. I'm just going to read it. She said, oh, here, let 40% of our grade in the class depend on this one single exam, no matter how well you were previously doing in that class. Then you have to take that exam in the same week as you're taking 4 other exams that also count for 40% of your grade. It's just a lot of built-in pressure that even not in that week, like that week is stressful enough, but I feel like that weighs on you throughout the whole semester because this is all culminating and you're going to have to perform in a certain way. And it's just a lot of pressure. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm not being like colleges do better, but also kind of colleges do better. You know what I'm saying? Like there has to be a better way to let ourselves succeed. Don't you think?
Yeah.
What are some things you guys have done for finals? Yeah, like.
I was going to say, I often have found sometimes that midterm season was even worse than final season because you still have the regular readings for not only the individual class you have a test in, but all your other classes that you have tests in and all your activities that's going on. So that, and then the midterm also count for like, depending on the teacher, obviously, like 30, 25, 15. So it's a big chunk of your grade still. So that's always hard. But honestly, like I always use my planner a whole lot and like really made sure that I double checked like the calendar when it was going on and made sure I said no to hanging out with friends even when I really wanted to. So that's just how keeping organized, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, totally. I think midterms is a great point to put in there. Just how the academic calendar is set up, it forces you. And like I said, I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but it's just kind of something that I think there's a kind of cool sense of solidarity. If I'm trying to like fish for a silver lining, is that everyone does go through it. And I don't know, it's kind of like a badge of honor, I guess, but also it might be troublesome to think of like a struggle like that as a badge of honor. So I don't mean to misconstrue that, but I don't know, taking comfort in the fact that other people are going through it as well, I guess. Someone else said just the societal pressure to succeed, and then they followed up quickly with, and the personal pressure that we feel to succeed, whatever success means. So my question to you guys, do you think that that personal pressure to succeed, again, whatever succeed means, is so high because of social pressures and what society expects? Like how do you see that relationship? Because I think they're definitely linked.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's definitely like a correlation somehow to that, because it's just like, oh, she's doing this, I better do this, or like, oh, I need to have this amount of grades to compete with this person to get into med school, something like that. I feel like it's kind of always like a push and pull that way. For me, it's like always just putting it in perspective and kind of, I don't know, focusing on myself. As I know that might sound like conceited or something, but I think in that sense, you kind of have to just focus on yourself, which again, it's hard to do in the moment. But then when you look back at it, it's like, okay, take time for yourself, you know?
Yeah, and I think trying to set personal goals and stuff without thinking about what's my friend doing or what's this competitor doing or what are people in my class doing, I think just really making it a personal effort might be a good way to combat some of that like social pressure that becomes very personal. So, and of course, like you want to succeed and you want to do well. So I get and pressure can be a good thing, but I think it's a very fine line. And once you cross over that line, it's when things can really start to take a toll, and then you can't possibly make those goals, you know? So that's where it's just a double-edged sword in that regard. But yeah, totally. But I also think like quarantine has affected all of our mental health in such profound and distinct ways that I don't think any of us could have imagined, and it's hard to figure out how to deal with it. And of course everyone handles stressors differently, but it's been a minute now since we've been quarantined. My quarantine started on March 14th. That's when I kind of got home, and that's when I didn't leave anymore, except for the grocery store, X's knows. But I don't know. I just think it's a given at this point that everyone's struggling to some degree. Obviously, those struggles are different depending on a whole host of factors, socioeconomic status, race, all of that just being a small portion of that. So I don't want to lump it all in, because obviously everyone is going through very different things, regardless of what it looks like from the outside. But I think I do think I can make a sweeping statement that everyone's going through it, and maybe mental health is more on the top of our heads than before. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
It's definitely, we hear they say unprecedented time all the time. Mm-hmm. And well, they also say that it's, humans are social creatures. And so it's like, in many ways, it's different than we thought about before, like how that affects your mental health. Some people need to be alone and some people need to be with people. And so they're forced to either be alone or with people. And so that could be both very bad or very okay. So
right.
I don't know if any of this is making sense, but
no.
to me, like,
no, 1,000%. I feel like I totally understand. And I wanted to make a point about isolation and how that can affect mental health, because the correlations are definitely clear. The American Psychological Association reports that social isolation carries a number of health risks. Feeling isolated can lead to poor sleep, poor cardiovascular health, lower immunity, depressive symptoms, and impaired executive function. When executive function skills are impaired, you may find it more difficult to focus, manage your emotions, remember information, and follow directions. So especially within a schooling environment, like all those executive functions are things you need to have in order to perform well academically, which all of us experienced, in this quarantine. And it just, I don't know, when you read something like that, you're like, okay, it's not weird that I'm struggling in these ways, you know what I mean? Because it's literally a scientific fact that this is going to affect you. So even just for me, reading that was like, okay, just a good little reminder, There's obviously nothing normal about quarantine. None of us have gone through this. Like Hannah said, it's completely unprecedented. And like I said earlier, it's hard enough to keep your headspace together when there's not a global pandemic. Like that was hard enough when we were just in school or at like first year at your job. Like there's a lot going on. So then to add this to the mix, I think the biggest thing I want to say is like my overarching takeaway from doing this outline and having this discussion is like, it's okay to feel totally weird. Like if there's any one normal thing to feel right now, it's completely all over the place, right? Like, I don't think there's any one reaction that you should be having or one feeling or emotion or anything like
Right,
that.
I was going to say, like, there's highs and lows, and it can come at any single point, but, like, just know that it's going to be okay in the end, and that it's okay to feel these feelings, because it's literally a freaking global pandemic that your body is literally in stress.
Yeah,
100% of the time, and that like definitely affects your brain basically.
I also think it's interesting because we've had threats before to us, whether it's like I don't know, terrorism or something like that, but this is like so different in that like that's a physical threat where you may not see it ahead of time, but it's like, okay, that person is dangerous to me and what they're doing with their actions currently. But this is, my mom always says, it's an invisible enemy, so we don't know where it's lurking or when it can attack per se. So that even heightens the threat of, oh, like what's gonna happen, like am I gonna be okay or not, like you touch something and you forget to wash your hands and you touch your face, like oh my god, like am I gonna get sick? So it's that extra fear where you can't see it, so it's I don't know, it's a lot more than being able to see what you're running from, well not running from, but protecting yourself from, rather.
Totally understand, and that's, I think, a good way to put it. I like the invisible enemy thing, because it's true, like it's just kind of all around us. It's this weird intangible thing that's just a thing now, and it's unavoidable no matter where you go. But yeah, so obviously it's affecting mental health. Me and Emma took the screening test from Mental Health America, which again is mhascreening.org. We'll definitely link that because it was so quick and easy to do. I took the anxiety test to start, and my result was mild anxiety. So that was, I guess, not shocking to me because I've definitely been feeling these things. And I'm just going to read a few of the bullet points that it gave me. It said, your results indicate that you may be experiencing some symptoms of mild anxiety. While your symptoms are not likely having a major impact on your life, it's important to monitor them. This screen is not meant to be a formal diagnosis, but it's a good way to identify if anxiety is a potential problem. Having symptoms of anxiety is different than having an anxiety disorder. In addition, symptoms of anxiety can be caused by other mental health conditions and other health problems like thyroid cancer. A trained professional, such as a doctor or mental health provider, can make this determination. And then finally, they said anxiety symptoms are often accompanied by symptoms of depression, so we recommend that you screen for that depression test as well. So just like really simple, lays out kind of, here's what's happening, here's what you can do about it, here's potential things you can do. And it really was very quick. Emma, you did it too, right? Super fast. What was your experience?
It was literally like 2 minutes, I would say. And you do put in some like personal information, so I'm sure if you do have more of the like worst case of the mental disorders, they might they might like reach out. I don't know if the email, was it through email? I forget if it was through email, but a good point out is like they have a lot of resources at the end, which is like really nice. And again, the format it was not like too intense or anything as well, so it was very welcoming, I would say.
Totally, like a very approachable way to kind of dive in, because I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into, when I downloaded that toolkit, and then when I got to this link for the screening. But I just think it's a good thing and good to ask yourself, because it's questions that you might not be asking yourself on a regular basis. I certainly wasn't, so it was good to just check in with myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's a lot of tests. There's like the depression test, there's anxiety test, there's PTSD test as well, which could be a little jarring at first to kind of choose which one you want to go into. But to your point, it's like, maybe if you're curious about something or you're not really aware of it, just like click on it. You never know what, and if you're really not feeling it, just like exit out. But yeah, there's a lot of options on there, so don't get too discouraged of trying to choose something. But interestingly, just to do like kind of something different, I guess, I also took the eating disorder test, and I try to like put myself in my shoes from like the past 2 years of when I was rowing. Shout out to like my post about collegiate rowing and like
we'll link that too, because that was
disorder, really the world of kind of weight issues in that sense. So I kind of wanted to see like if I put myself in my shoes like in the past 2 years, what it would kind of come out. And interestingly, it said like at risk for eating disorder, because when I look at it now, it's like, yeah, I definitely was at a risk for eating disorder, but I kind of wish I again had this like screening tool to kind of like be there. And of course, again, like the resources, etc. But I was gonna say something else.
I want to jump in real quick because Mental Health America, who, like I said, does all this screening and where the toolkit came from, their goal for May, which of course Mental Health Awareness Month, is to get 1 million screenings done in May. So if this is something you're at all interested in, feel comfortable doing, I think definitely check out that mhascreening.org and do it. It's not a big time commitment at all. And I think, like I said, for me, it was just a really positive experience just to check in with myself and ask those questions and, allow myself to answer honestly, and to then get a whole slew of resources that I could use, interactive things, and just so many good things. So definitely.
And also how like you as maybe like a bystander might help those like one of your loved ones as well. So it's not just someone who has like a mental health issue, disorder, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's also like how you can potentially help your friends or family too, which is great. I was definitely going to point out to like their goal was to kind of like screen basically the whole country, which is crazy.
Right.
In a good way, crazy in a good way.
Yeah, but also you figure like, and we're going to touch on this later, I think the whole idea that mental health is just as important as physical health. And think about like you get a yearly screening physical, and that's just a given. So I think this should be just as much as a given, and I think that is the goal of an organization like Mental Health America. And I think it's an admirable one. So I'm glad that I learned about it, and I'm glad that I'm taking part because it feels good. Like it feels like we're on the right track, And in a time where so much is out of our control, this is a like active choice that I made, and like I'm exerting control over myself and my mental health, and also helping this great organization kind of spread the word. So it felt good,
Yeah, and like another thing to know about the screening, again, it's like they're not diagnosing you with anything right now. It's just, again, to bring awareness to it. And then from there, you can kind of take the next step. So again, it's like not a diagnosis. So
yeah, important to note. Now I want to shift over just to our quarantine experiences and mental health in that time. What would you guys say was like your biggest struggle, I think, or something that you're actively working through being in quarantine and your mental health? Hannah, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So you kind of just mentioned it, Rachel. You were just talking about having things out of our control. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and I just have had this constant like feeling of helplessness, and just with that, like I've been wanting to help, I don't know where, but just in general, and just feeling like kind of not panicked, but just like, oh, like what can I do? Like, and just feeling almost defeated that I couldn't help, and just then taking on kind of like, oh, like what's going to happen? And then I start thinking, and it goes, and then it goes, I don't know, on for like that. And it's like a cycle that you just got to like break out of. But so that's why I've been, like going to be more active and like doing workout videos, which I think we'll touch on later if I jump the gun on that one. But yeah, just like not feeling like I'm doing my best to contribute, even though I know that there's no way I possibly could, I don't know if that is the right way to put it, but just like lack of control. Yeah. So just trying not to think too much, I guess.
Yeah.
Worry.
No, totally. And again, super relatable. I totally feel that. Yeah. Emma, how about you?
yeah, I definitely have to say like living in my own head, that's it's been like a little bit difficult. There's just like always thoughts kind of racing in my head that I can't seem to compartmentalize or kind of just put on the back burner for a second. I don't know. I think it's that uneasy feelings like you should be doing something every single day, etc. Or like, how am I as like a person who's healthy right now and capable, how can I be helping the world during this pandemic? I think that's kind of what's been going in my mind. And I think especially over the years, like being an RA and being in that college environment, like I've learned that I am like quite a vulnerable person. And I think that's very important. And I think especially if you're kind of not around the people you're used to being vulnerable with, it's kind of difficult to be in that situation. So I definitely feel like I've been holding back either from like my mom or like my dad, etc. So yeah, I think just kind of learning that it's time to kind of like open up to the people who you're not really used to opening up to.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points. Mine kind of piggybacks off that, because I think the number one thing I've been struggling with, besides just not having the routine that I loved having at school, is the, I guess, simultaneous isolation, but then also having no privacy, because I'm used to at school having my own space to kind of shut the door and process. And I got very, very used to doing that at school. And that was a really good stress reliever and way for me to just kind of unwind at the end of the day. And now I'm back in my childhood home that is filled with adults, and I don't have my own space. And it's been a really hard transition for me to make. Just, I don't know. But on the other hand, I'm like really happy to be with my family and my sisters, and I think they're helping me in ways that I definitely need. Like, I can't imagine being quarantined by myself. That would be awful. So it's just, I'm like guilty for feeling that I want privacy, and it's just been weird working through two things that I want, which are like privacy, but also being with people I love. So it's been hard for me to work through, but I don't know, every day is a new day, and I think every day I learn better ways to cope. So that's kind of how I've been getting through it. But weird times, man, and I feel like it's just weird. I don't know.
For sure.
But yeah, but now I wanted to transition now on a more uplifting note. What are some resources or techniques you guys have used since quarantine, or even before quarantine, to kind of help when you can feel your mental health kind of going to the back burner? Like, how do you fix it and make yourself feel better and more well? Obviously, also, like, everyone copes with stress differently. So this isn't like me being like, do this and you'll feel good. It's just, this works for me, or this works for Emma, or this works for Hannah. So just, again, that's a quick. Does anyone want to start? I have like so much written down. Like, looking, like, oh my god.
Yeah, I'll go. I was kind of touching on it before, but like I said, I've been trying to do workout videos, or have been getting back on the running circuit. So that's been good, because I find if I'm feeling anxious about things, or doing like exercise helps me, and it just is a sense of release that it just like kind of leaves my body, which is good. Movies, spending time with my family, and conversely, like when I need to go to my room and like be alone. But yeah, because I remember talking with you about that, Rachel. Like you said, it's like you love your family when you want to be with them, you want to, and when you don't, you really don't. But yes, and I've also stopped keeping up with the news, which we've talked about too, because at first I was like almost kind of like obsessed. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? There's more cases, and especially when it was all still very new, I was like keeping up with it so much. And now that it's been going on for so long, and it almost seems it's just too much. So if I found that unplugging from it has helped me just kind of just be where I need to be, and not make myself worry for things that aren't affecting me in the moment, you know? Like, yes, quarantine is happening, but I don't have coronavirus, thank God. So I don't need to worry about having it like right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
The news will make you sane. So
1,000%. Yeah, I think those are all really, really good things that, yeah, I don't know. I'm happy for you, Han.
thank you.
How about you, Anne?
Yeah, no, I really liked how you said, like, taking time for yourself within your own household. Like, tell your family or your friends or whatever, is just like, it's not you. It's really like, I just need a breather for a second. Yeah, it's not you, it's me.
It's me.
Like, you really just need to take a breather, and like, that is totally okay. Like, I literally go to bed at 9 p.m. just to have like that hour of just like me in my bed, like laying like a potato. Like, seriously, it's like really, it's good. It's really good. Another thing is like, I love yoga in the beginning, but I've started doing like my practice outside in the mornings, on the weekends especially. And it's just like kind of beautiful to hear the birds singing, the trees rustling, and it kind of just brings me back into the moment. And I think that kind of goes back into like just typical breathing techniques that have been really helpful for me. Shout out Core Power and their on-demand classes. Really, you should go check those out. Yeah, so I would say like just those kind of breathing techniques, and kind of, you know, like you're here in the moment, relax. I know that's easier said than done when you tell people just relax, but like, oh, I hate that. But just like practicing your own breath, and then you can kind of take those techniques to a time when you're feeling really distressed. Say like you have to have like a deadline due. It's just like, and you're back in the moment, and just continue and just go with the flow.
Totally. I love that. Yeah, it's super important to be like in tone with that. Yeah. Go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
For me, something that's always helped is journaling, but I say journaling in like whatever format suits me at that time. When I was on a staff with you guys living in the same building that was like going down to the RHO and venting about whatever I needed to vent about. When I was in my apartment by myself, it might be journaling, literally in a diary, like that helps me. It could be writing posts for the blog. I think that's been super helpful to just work through kind of bigger issues or just new concepts and things that I was dealing with. And now with the BLOGCAST, and I think it's interesting because this has been literally, like the name suggests, this is an audio blog for us to kind of work through. It started off as like what we were doing in New York, right? It was keeping our friends and family in tune with what was going on in our exciting city lives. And now that is not the case anymore. Like that's not what we're talking about on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? We can't like talk about the restaurants we went to or the events that we did. So it kind of has forced us, even within this BLOGCAST framework, to focus more on our feelings and talking through that. And the way I said it made it sound like I was dismissing it, and I totally didn't mean that, because it's genuinely so important and it's helped me so much. I think this is a really cool opportunity for us on this show, and also just for me thinking about my own life, and for everybody listening to kind of get very used to feeling comfortable with checking in with ourselves, which is like a long-winded way to just say, take a minute, reflect on the week, reflect on how you're feeling before you go to bed, reflect on the day. I think taking that time, it's like training a muscle, you know what I mean? You're getting a skill that's going to help us when real life happens, because what I'm getting from this is a lot of the stress and anxiety that's happening right now is like, what happens next and how will real life be? We can use this time in a really productive way to get those skills and to make that even more of a productive time. And I think realizing that has helped me, like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm training myself to better cope with whatever I'm working through mentally. And I think, I don't know, that makes me feel good, because again, it's like a productive thing that I could do instead of feeling helpless or like I can't do anything, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say that was really well said. And I think it kind of brings us back to like creating that space for blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of, and then also to your point, I think what you've taught me over the years as well, it's like this journaling aspect, it might be like kind of intense for people, I would say, but it doesn't have to be so formal, right? Like it literally could be a sentence a day.
Anything. Yeah, I think just allowing yourself to get out whatever you feel like getting out at that moment, like that is very telling. And it doesn't need to be, like you said, a well thought out thing that can be the opposite of what it needs to be. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, we got a lot of time, use it. Like that's how I'm feeling right now. So this is, I'm just happy how it's making me feel good. I'm glad we're talking it all out. This feels really great. Thank you guys for doing this with me. But we have one more thing before we wrap up. Any like mental health truisms or little sayings or phrases that you kind of keep with you that have helped you just I know this is like a very vague thing, but I feel like we all kind of came out with good ideas. So I want to talk about them. Hannah, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I don't remember verbatim, but I just remember someone either talking about it or hearing it somewhere, but that mental health days being a valid reason to take off from work or school or for self-care. And that really struck with me, because a lot of times it's the feeling of, oh, no, like I have to do this report, or like I have to go to work and do this, and like continue with this life. But if you're being overwhelmed, you're not feeling yourself one day, like that's perfectly okay. And to take that time to just kind of rewind and like unwind, I guess, to just take a pause would be better for yourself, not only in the long run, but for like other people. If you want to help people, you're not going to be able to do your best work or help other people if you're not feeling your best yourself. So it's just doing what you can to take care of you, and that's important. And like we said before, like you have to do, like, the physical part of your body is healthy is just as much as your I'm so sorry. Wait, can you take that out? I just totally jumped over Emma's. I'm so sorry. But yes, being engaged with your mental health is just as much self-care.
Totally. No, I think that's really, really great. And it does lead us right into Emma. So Emma,
that was perfect. And I must say, like, I'm so grateful for having like this episode to talk about just like mental health in general, because I think in the past, like, mental health has just, the topic of it has been just so taboo. People were like afraid to, or embarrassed maybe, to talk about it. So I'm just really happy that this is happening, by the way, just saying.
No, that reminds me, something I wanted to ask you guys that I totally forgot to mention before is like, I think for me anyway, and for us, I think mental health has been so destigmatized, and I'm so happy for that. But I'm wondering what you guys think. Do you think that's because of our generation, because society is changing? Do you think that's because Fordham was a really healthy place for us and they focused on it? What do you think? Do you think it's like bigger than just like our group? Like, I'm curious what you think. Is this a trend? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say like it's kind of a combination of kind of all the points that you touched upon, and just the fact that like news is spreading that mental health is really important. So like maybe the younger generation is more inclined to talk about it or get a job in that field. But I know like talking to like my mom's generation or the older generation, they're kind of like more closed off, I would say. Not to shame those people who are
No, but I
listening.
think it's night and day.
Yeah.
I think it's cool to watch the progress, and I think it is that it's progress. So I think it's something that should be celebrated. Right, that we're getting to a good place. So
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, no, I'm glad. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And back to you.
No, that's okay. Okay, so my truism here is mental health is just as important as physical health. And I more have thought about this in more of like the performance psychology aspect, but then Rach, you brought up a really good point that like you have these physical health assessments every single year. Like what's holding us back with the mental health assessments? And yeah, during physicals they do like briefly mention about it, but like it kind of comes out of nowhere, and so you're most likely are kind of probably going to say no, right? So but yeah, to your point, like definitely it's just as important as your physical health. And more of like the performance aspects that I was thinking of, like you have the skills that you can succeed in anything that you want. Is just kind of changing your mindset to tackle the next steps and literally just like attack it. Like you have just go for it. Like don't hold back at all. Again, this of course is easier said than done, but I think just having that in your mind, just being like mental health just as important as physical health. You got this. You have the skills to do it. Just go for it.
Yeah. And going off of that, something we didn't touch too much on in this episode, but might be definitely worth it for the future, is just body image in and of itself. Is so many layers to that, and we could really dive into that and how society, influences that. But I heard a quote on a podcast that I love, Comments by Celebs. I talk about those girls all the time. Love them. And Emma, one of the girls on that show, talks about her therapist all the time, which, by the way, I think that is the coolest thing, just that she's so open with her listeners about her own mental health journey and how she just makes it seem so normal, because it is so normal, and it's cool to just be a listener of that. So that's its own thing. But she has this quote from her therapist that she says a lot whenever the topic of body image specifically kind of comes up. She says, "We are souls with bodies, not bodies with souls." And that just like hit me. I listened to that podcast episode early in the quarantine, and it just really did stick with me this whole time, because it's so true. Like you have to take care of your being in order to do anything else. Like that is first and foremost. And to get too caught up in body image or the way you look, it's more about how you feel. And we are souls with bodies, not bodies with souls. It just really stuck with me. So thank you, Emma Diamond, Comments by Celebs, for that little truism. It definitely stuck with me. I don't know, I think that's all we got for now, you guys. This was such a positive episode for me, a really great exercise in audio journaling. So thank you guys for participating. Like I said, next week we have Postgrad Part 2 with Alexa Schoen coming up. But that does it for today. You're muted.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I was sniffing
So
a
serious.
whole
You're like,
lot.
I'm Hannah Legit.
I'm
so serious.
I'm so sorry.
totally.
Oh, okay. I'm Hannah Legirfo.
I'm Emma Spoldy.
And I'm Rachel Malik. This has been the Her Life BLOGCAST.